Hi everyone! The collaborative tool that I'm going to be exploring in my screencast is called Maker's Empire. Before I show you what this tool looks like and how it works, I'm going to go over a few basics like what it is, what platforms it can be used with, and the cost associated with Maker's Empire. So Maker's Empire is a 3D design tool that lets students create, share, and actually print the 3D designs that they create. With Maker's Empire, you can actually download and 3D print the files that your students create, but having access to a 3D printer is definitely not required to use this tool to its full capacity. Teachers using Maker's Empire have access to their library of standard aligned lesson plans. They can also view their students' creations from their dashboard, where they have the ability to see how much time they have spent on these designs, and they can write feedback specifically to the student. Teachers also have the ability to assign design challenges that are either pre-made or created by the teacher, and then the students can directly complete those challenges from their account. Students who have access to Maker's Empire can view their classmates' creations. They can even view the creations that have been made by the entire school. They have the ability to like or comment on the design, or they can even copy and modify the design from their account. Students can also participate in design challenges with the class, the school, or globally, depending on how you have your class set up. Finally, Maker's Empire ties in a gamification piece where students can earn stars and coins. Stars give them higher experience ranking and a title, which is visible in their profile. The more tutorials and design challenges students complete, the more stars they earn, and the higher their rankings go. Coins are earned by spending more time on designs, so the more detail students add, the more coins they earn for that design. I'll talk about the role of coins in a little bit. The Maker's Empire app is available for pretty much every device. There's an Apple as well as an Android version, so as long as your device can download apps, you can access it. The teacher dashboard is accessible through makersempire.com, and then with the app, you can use it both online and offline, depending on which one works better for your situation. So for me, one of the biggest drawbacks of Maker's Empire is the cost associated with it. If students want to download the app, they can have free limited access to it. They're not part of a class, so you can't assign them challenges and you can't view what they're creating as the teacher, but they can still create 3D designs that can be downloaded to be printed. If you'd like access to the teacher dashboard, the first thing you can do is download a free trial to see how it works for you. Currently, because of distance learning, they are 150-day trials and you get full access to their entire subscription. So that means you can view lesson plans, you can see the student monitoring feature to see what your students are creating, you can give them feedback, you can also create challenges to share with your students. After your free trial expires, if you'd like to continue to use Maker's Empire, you do have to pay for a subscription. The lowest choice is the class account, and that is 30 student accounts, which 2 teachers can access, but this gives you full access to all of their curriculum, all of their classroom management features, and full access to their app and everything. They also give you some professional development to see how you can integrate 3D printing into your class. This costs $299 a year, and that is a recurring fee for each year. The next option is a school account. This is very similar to the class account, but you have unlimited accounts for both students and teachers. But again, they give you full access to all of their curriculum, apps, things like that. That's $1,999 a year. Again, that's reoccurring. And then the final things that they offer are 3D printer and filament bundle options. So for this, you receive a school account, and then you can choose which kind of printer you want to purchase with, how many, and what type of filament, and the quantity. This varies depending on the choices that you pick, but those bundles are starting at $2,199. The next thing I want to show you is what the students are actually going to see when they log into Maker's Empire. So once they log in, the first thing that they're going to be asked to do is to create their avatar. Once they're finished creating their avatar, they'll be dropped into their Maker's Empire world. From here, the first time they log in, they'll notice that the only thing that they have unlocked is this training lab. That's because in here, they're going to have to complete a bunch of tutorials to know how to use the building software before they have access to these different areas, because you have to know how to use the building software to create something in these different parts. Next to the training lab is Maze Mania. In here, students can create different mazes that their peers can then test out. Their goal is to create something that is challenging yet engaging and not too frustrating, and students can test out the mazes that are created, and then they can also give feedback and test it out again as changes are made. In the competition arena, this is where students can participate in global challenges. These are changed each month, and students can have one submission into the global challenge. They can also view the other creations that have been submitted, as well as comment and get feedback from others on their designs. Next to that is the daily challenge. This is very similar, but it changes each day. It's not a competition, so students just create something, they submit it, and then they get a new challenge the next day. And then finally, in Challenge Central, if you are a teacher posting a challenge for the students that I'm going to show you how to do when I show you the teacher dashboard, this is where that'll show up. So all of these are ones that are created by Maker's Empire, but you can also swap these out to ones that you create for your students. The students just click on the challenge, they read the constraints, they create their submission, and then once they're finished with it, it goes to the teacher's account, and then they have to wait for the teacher to assign it, or to grade it. Once the teacher grades it, they can click on it and view their feedback, and then they'll be able to access the next challenge just by clicking on the green flag. So the next area that students have access to is the gallery. When you first open it up, you'll have access to the World Gallery. This is where students can view everything that's been created on Maker's Empire. So this is from people from all over the world. You have the option of clicking on a design. Once you click on the design, you can write a comment so they can discuss things and ask questions and give feedback to a global community. They can also like it. Students can download the file to be 3D printed. They can take a screenshot of it. Another really cool feature is the replay button, which this shows them exactly how this designer created this 3D file. So they can see how they created the different things and kind of add some different tools to their building repertoire. So they can see how somebody else did it and then mimic something similar in their designs. Students can also download this file to their account to modify it by paying 40 coins. So one of the cool features about Maker's Empire is that the person that makes the design can decide how many coins it can cost to download and modify their design. So this designer makes it cost 40 coins to design it, or to download it and modify it. But if you look at some of the other designs, like this one is free. So this designer, it won't cost you any coins to download this. You can just download it right to your account, and then you can modify it as you would like. Another cool collaborative feature is that when we go back to the main screen, you can also filter this to view designs in your school or your class. So right now I'm only viewing students in this classwork. I can see that these are by different designers. Once I go on there, I can click on it, and I have the same options available that I did for the world option. I can download it to my account, I can take a photo of it, I can write them comments, we can like it, and you can have your collaborative discussions on there. The next feature is this create button. This is where students can actually start to build their designs. When they click on one of the challenges or the Maze Mania activities, it automatically opens up either Shaper or Blocker. Shaper lets students modify different geometric shapes to create new objects, while Blocker lets you only use cubes. I'm going to show you Shaper. They are both very similar. I'm not going to go into too much detail for this because the tutorials that they provide you do a really great job of showing you how to use everything, and the tools that they have available are kind of extensive. But basically all you do is click on the shape that you want, and then you can modify the size. So if I want to make it bigger, I just have to drag it. If I want to change the color, I can. If I want to put another shape on top, I just have to click on it, and then again I can change the size. I can move it up and down to start to create my object. Once I'm finished building, I click on finish, and then I have the opportunity to name it and describe it. So you can give your students criteria for what they need to do to describe their design if you want to tie in some English language arts components. I'm just going to click finish. Once I've created my design, I can view it in the My Designs. This is also where you can change how much your design is worth. So I can charge people 5 coins to download this. I can also make it not for sale, which means that nobody can download it and modify it. The next thing I want to show you is the teacher dashboard. So when you log into makersempire.com, this is the website that you'll be taken to. Up here you'll just see some statistics about your class and your school, and then if you scroll down a little bit you can see all of the recent student designs. Over onto the left of your screen, if you go to the Getting Started section, there's some overview videos about what you can do with Makers Empire, and then in the Professional Development section, there are a couple modules that you can complete to get a better understanding of integrating 3D printing into your classroom. Under Classroom Management, you can view your classes and your students that are enrolled. You can also see which teachers have access. In the View and Assess Student Designs, you can see all of the submissions for the different challenges, and then you can view those and give them some feedback. So this is a submission to one of the challenges. I can see from here how much time the student has spent on it. So the student only spent 1 minute creating this design. I just made it super fast for an example. You can also see an effort score. So this says that it is an effort score of -24. So the computer didn't think that they gave very much effort to this challenge based on the criteria. Once I click on it, I have a couple more options. I can write a public comment so everybody can see this. Just like what I showed you in the gallery post. And then I can also assess this that only the student will see. So here I can see the design brief and I can see the standard that it aligned with. Then I can choose if it was satisfactory, above satisfactory, or below satisfactory. Here I can type some specific feedback. I can also click on some of these generated comments to add those in. Then down here, if I think the student did a really nice job, I can give them some tokens, and then I can send that assessment feedback back to them. And then another feature I want to point out is the teacher mission section. This is where you can create those challenges for your students. So instead of having the ones created by Makers Empire, in the challenge section, you can come up with your own title, your own brief, and then kind of tell them what they need to do and what tool they can use to create it. And then finally, if you go to the resource section, you can have access to all of the different lessons that Makers Empire provides. So you can filter it by grade, you can filter it by subject area, but there are tons of different lessons to look through. Some of these use the Maze Mania feature, some of them use the 3D design, but a lot of them tie in math, science, and engineering concepts. So now that I've showed you what both students and teachers can do with Makers Empire, I want to talk a little bit about how this tool can be used in your classroom, specifically for collaboration. One of the best features for collaboration is that both students and teachers can provide comments on designs to further discussion and give feedback. Teachers also have the option to provide specific feedback to a student in a private comment. Another way that students can collaborate is by buying other students' designs so they can modify it or use it to build in a back and forth collaborative manner. Students also have the opportunity to collaborate with their peers and other students around the world by participating in class, school, or global design challenges, where they can see what and how others are building and give them constructive feedback while also engaging in relevant discussions. As for use in an online setting, I think this tool would lend itself best to an asynchronous setting because students need time to create their designs. Students also could comment and give feedback on posts as the designs are posted. Furthermore, there is some delay in the upload time, and viewing files from other accounts may be challenging in a synchronous setting because it's not instantaneously available. After looking at Table 5.3 in Chapter 5 of the text, Makers Empire can be used for a variety of the mentioned collaborative activities. Students engage in problem solving not only in the Maze Mania section, where they create and improve mazes that are challenging yet engaging, but also with the posted challenges where students are designing creative solutions to posed problems. This tool can also be used for product development, because students can use the 3D software to show design solutions to a problem, or even by doing things like bringing a story to life by creating a setting or characters that they'll then use in a narrative. Students can also use Maker Empire to demonstrate mastery by creating models for various concepts or showing their understanding through a visual 3D representation that they create and explain. Makers Empire can also help to establish social presence online. It can help to develop effective association through the liking of designs as well as the positive comments that can be posted. The purchasing of peer-created designs can help do this too. It helps establish community cohesion through the creation of avatars and the gamification aspects. Students feel like they are truly a part of and interacting with the digital community. It also helps further interaction intensity because collaboration goes beyond just discussion with words. Students are creating and building ideas together. Finally, instructor involvement plays a big role in this because the teacher can participate in the feedback and commenting, as well as through creating their own designs that students can also view and share. As far as using this tool in my classroom, I would like to look into it to replace the current 3D software that I use with my students called Tinkercad. It seems much more collaborative and geared towards younger students. I also got a lot of real-world lesson ideas from the lesson library that I would like to implement in my classroom. One of those was the All About Me lesson, which had students design something to represent them. I think this would be a great way to help build community in the beginning of the year. There were also a lot of math and science related lessons that I would use to reinforce skills like the geometry toy or the symmetry monster challenge that has students using these math concepts to create various characters. Also, some of these lessons help solve real-world problems, like the Keeping Our Community Clean lesson, where the students had to design something to keep the environment clean. For distance learning, I think this would be a great way for students to create and share prototypes for different STEM-related problems that they're exploring without being limited by the materials that they have at home. Overall, I think Maker's Empire is a great option for teachers looking to add collaboration and creativity to their online learning environments. It is user-friendly and adds gamified components to keep students engaged. While the cost or the lack of a 3D printer may be a drawback for some, it is a tool definitely worth looking into.